Gonna make a mixture out of this water putty. It's rock hard once it dries, so it's awesome stuff. But what I want to do, I could use Bondo, but that stuff stinks, and I don't like breathing it. So I'm going to use this. Go mix some water in there and apply it. So you can buy it pre-mixed, but this is a lot more expensive than that stuff. So I use that stuff. I'm starting with this. I think this is 2.5 inch PVC. It's a pretty thick one, but it's going to be the body of the birdhouse. This is the simplest way I know to make a quick birdhouse, but this is kind of boring birdhouse, even though I'm going to go like that. So I have, I don't know, put a hole in there, that kind of birdhouse. You know, it's cool with the top and the bottom. Log cookies. These are spalted maple log cookies. Texturizing it to look like bark will be much better. That's what I'm attempting to do right now with this water putty. You just gotta find the right consistency. And right now it's too loose. So I'm gonna keep mixing this until I get the right, and add more. That's way too loose. I put too much water in here, so now I gotta, see, that's kind of what I want. So I should have added a little water at a time instead of too much water. Okay. It's getting kind of thick. I think you're looking for like a peanut butter consistency. Get rid of the clumps. Just mix it up. It's kind of like peanut butter. Doesn't really fall off, and it's still lumpy, so that has to be mixed further. Whoops. And I'm wearing gloves because I'm going to use it I'm going to apply it with my hands. So, getting rid of those lumps. Kind of like a cake batter, except it's way thicker. Not that I'm a baker. So, take this, and it doesn't matter if it's dirty, that won't prevent it from sticking. And just apply a coat. It might be better if it were thicker, but you can see how I'll go over it and I get a bark-like texture. Well, not smooth like that. I can wait for this to dry a little bit and come back to it and add some more. Rub it down a little bit more and get more texture out of it. So I made a thicker concoction, although that doesn't look bad, you know. I think I'm just going to leave that as it is. But I'm going to try another one just to see if the thicker concoction works better. I think I can get more tooth with this, so it's more textured. You know, some trees have a coarser bark than others. So it does look a little different. And I'll show you the two when I'm done with this. And then I'll let you know how well it holds once it's all dry. It shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, see how that has more texture and tooth. In comparison to that. But that one's cool too, so I'm just trying out different things, and we'll see. We'll see how it looks. These are a little rough, so I'm just taking this. This is 80 grit or 60 grit. It's pretty coarse. You can see it's coarse. But I'm just going to go over that a little bit to soften it. It may not be necessary, but no, if you want it quick and easy, you don't have to do that. And remember that first one I did that was real smooth? Now look, that came off there. So I'll have to go over that again. But this is really smooth because it was a very loose, or there was more water in the water putty when I did it. So it was a very loose, but that's kind of nice too. I'm just going to have to fix that. And it might take a paint. So if I just sand down that bubble there, I may not need to do that. But this is solid. This stuff is not coming off. So it's a good way to add some texture to anything, actually. Just got to test to make sure it sticks. So I ended up doing these by hand, because I thought the other one might be too aggressive and rip off like that. Rip off some of the, you don't want that to happen. So you just sand them down by hand so it's flush. So when you put the top on, like I said earlier, you don't see gaps. So I cut this on the bandsaw. And, you know, kind of sort of works, but it's definitely going to require a lot of sanding. And I'm thinking maybe I'll try and put some of these on the lathe and see if they cut any better that way. So I am going to paint this with a couple of colors. I'm going to start with this other one I've got. It's a Ralph Lauren paint. It's called Suede. It's basically that color, but it's got like a texture in it. I don't need it. You can use whatever. You could use oil base. I think that's fine. You could also paint it with everything and then put a urethane on it, or like a clear coat afterwards, like urethane or stuff like this. And there's water resistant coating for wood. So something like this would be good. Hellspar varnish, that's good for outside, for wood. So you can pick and choose what finish you want to put on there. No good. So as you could see, that paint was really dried up hard. So I'm going to try stain, and you'll at least see how that looks. This is kind of a medium value stain. Value meaning light to dark. So let's see, this one sounds good. Now let's see how this one works. I'm just going to use a crappy old chip brush. Put this on and see if it, yeah, that's good. Nice and thin. I'm going to stir it up a little bit. Yeah, that's actually not a bad color or value, if I can get it to dry that value. We'll see. So the next thing is making these, and I have a log, obviously. You can still see the bark all the way around the whole thing. But I take and I make slices, and I used a bandsaw. I don't know if you can see the cuts on this. I used a bandsaw, and they're all about the same width, so I use the fence to just keep cutting through on the bandsaw. So I had several of these, and these have a very interesting pattern. So that's what I'm looking for when I cut up those logs. And then I sand them smooth, even sand down the edges, and then you can seal them with the urethane. So I ended up cutting at least part of it with the chop saw, and I got about to here down. So I'm afraid if I turn it, it won't be balanced this way. You know, it won't be balanced this way. So it might not cut them right. So I think I'm gonna, I don't know, try maybe well, I got the bandsaw, but it takes forever I need a new blade or something, so that's not gonna work. So this is the PVC. You can see the PVC in there. And I'll sand these edges off flat. Probably just put them on a belt sander and sand them flat. So you don't want to have, you want it to be smooth. You don't really want a gap there. So you want it sanded flat so it sits flat on the top or the bottom. And I'm either going to put holes in these for the birds to go in, or I was thinking earlier, once they're sanded flat, I could possibly put a hole in the end of one side and then suspend it this way so a bird could go in there. I thought that might be different, quite unique. So I may do that. But anyway, that's the PVC. This one is cardboard. It's a lot lighter, which is fine, but this stuff, this water putty, dries very hard, and it's not coming off. But there are areas that are a little elevated, and I've been picking those off. And here's a thin plastic tube that I use. Obviously, it's much bigger. But it's a bigger cavity, so I mean, who knows what I could use with this. This one I may do this way. Another thing you can do is make, if you have a lathe, make hoods on the lathe. I put, this is maple, this is walnut, and I'll put this on the lathe, pin it here and pin it here, and spin it and make a top out of it that I can keep this side flat. So in essence, I could just attach it that way, or possibly make a little indentation that would sit in there so it wouldn't move at all, and I could glue it more easily. I'll have more surface to glue with. Here are two other examples. This is very hard wood. I believe it's ebony, and then this is maple, and this is maple, and this is mahogany. So they'll all have their own characters, and I can make hoods for these to sit like that. So what I'm going to do next is put a little hole in the top of these and then put this fishing line through so it'll hang without being seen. So I'll put it there and I'll put it there, and then probably, well, whatever, if the PVC is this big, we know it's 2.5 inches. I'm not sure what the inside dimension is, but I'll measure that and make a mark and put the hole just inside where that hole sits, so this can run through the center of the birdhouse and hang. And I might double this up. This is pretty strong, you can't see it, but it's pretty strong stuff, monofilament, 12-pound test. So this is not 12 pounds, it won't be when it's finished. So that's the next step. Finding center, making a mark. I'll do it with this one too. And again, I'm just doing this so I know where the inside is. So I can put the hole like right, I think I want this to face out. I'm going to put the hole right there. And then, doesn't matter which side, put it closer to the top. Okay. So these are kind of tipping backwards, and I did sand down this, so that will be on the outside. I sanded down these edges so it kind of bevels this way. And this will be the top, and this will be the top, and it'll go together like that once I get those pieces done. And I'm going to just use a regular wood glue, and hopefully that'll hold up nicely. But the monofilament is just going to slide through there, through the tube, which makes the center. And I've never made birdhouses with the entrance on one side. So basically this is what it will hang on. So